I'm Jen DeTracey, and welcome to this episode 28 of My Messy House, because MS is real and it's raw. Raw and real, just like sushi. All right, so today's theme, last time in episode 27, I talked about forgiving ourselves and how important that is. And today, the messy house random thought about the penthouse suite of messiness up here in this noggin is about, forgiving others. Forgive others. Why would we want to forgive others, Well, here's the thing. First of all, in the last episode, if you haven't seen episode number 27, definitely watch that first. Forgiving ourselves, if we can't forgive ourselves, it's very difficult to forgive others. So that's the first thing, and I talked about that in the past episode. So once you get to a place where you can start practicing forgiving yourself for snapping at people or making decisions that you regret, life just feels a little, just a slice of grass easier, that thin, right? It can make a big difference. And then there comes a time where we want to embrace forgiving others. And when we can forgive ourselves, it's so much easier to open our hearts and forgive others. So in my life, I think some of the things that have been difficult around MS for me, that's interesting. I just heard myself gulp. There's an emotion laying right here in the throat. So I'm just going to take a moment. Just going to welcome that emotion. Allow it to be there, right there in my little throat. I guess because I'm going back, I'm journeying back for a moment to the time when I was diagnosed and where I had a lot of attrition of friends in my life, people that just could not show up for me, people that I was hanging out with regularly, and then they were gone, right? Sense of loss. And we'll talk about loss in another episode more deeply, because I think it's a big, hot topic. It's like a burning, raw, real topic, right? There's a huge amount of loss that happens, and I even have some stats on that. So stay tuned for another episode on loss. But for now, we talk about forgiving others. I do believe that people show up in our lives for a reason, and sometimes they show up for a season, for a short period of time. And I think for me, it took me quite a while to accept and appreciate that some people just couldn't deal with my diagnosis for different reasons. And that's okay. I mean, people leave our lives all the time. It's hard, it's painful. Sometimes we leave people's lives or push people away because we're afraid to lose that person. But when it all comes down to it, we come to that place around forgiving others in our life that we love and we care about, that means something to us. It makes a big difference because they cannot completely put themselves in our shoes. They can try, right? We may have explained to a friend or a parent or somebody 100,000 times, tried to express how fatigue has an impact on our lives or some other aspect of MS that can be a challenge or debilitating. And how they filter that can be difficult. And we can't always say it in a way that one person hears and gets that another person does, because people have different filters in how they hear information, as do we. So that's why people tend to take things personally, because we hear it through somebody else's filter. But for us, that's a trigger. So when I think about my life, I had a really good friend, a new friend, because my life, actually, I had ended a 14-year relationship that was very toxic. and I had to rebuild my life and some of my friendships. And so I had a new friend, and I'll just call her Sarah just because anonymity first. And Sarah wouldn't come over to my place. She didn't really want much to do with me. She was upset about some of the choices I was making in my life. And for some reason, she was very triggered by my choices, even though they really had absolutely nothing to do with her. You know, nothing to do with her. And I was so desperate to have her as a friend, and I was writing her emails and doing everything I could to connect with her. And when I let go of that, and I finally met with her like a year later, and at that time, I gave her the floor. I said, "Hey, we were at a cafe, and I said, what's up? Like, why was it so hard for you to have this friendship with me after I was diagnosed?" And she had a list of reasons. Like, we're talking a list, and things like why I left the person I was dating at the time, or why I didn't euthanize my dog earlier. Things that are very personal. But you know what? I was able to hear her because I was in a place of forgiveness and letting go, right? I was in that place of, you know what? There's no guarantee I'm going to have this friendship anymore. I'm not sure I want it. I'm going to stay open to the possibility, but at the same time, I'm going to forgive her. She's, for some reason, she's in pain about something. I don't really know what's underneath it for her because I was a loyal friend. So, who knows, right? But I was able to come to a place of forgiving her. And with that forgiveness comes forgetting, which actually can be a very big relief. So the pain that I had around that friendship and the loss of it, and what I would state from my perspective were judgments, I could let that go and forgive her, forgive Sarah for those choices. And, to this day, there might be a tiny little shard of sadness around that, but I realize she's not the person that I wanted to have in my life. And by forgiving her for her choice and for the pain that I experienced as a result of that, it really freed me up, right? And that's the power. So I invite you, in the way that you imagine for yourself, if you can just pick one person in your life. It could be someone that you used to be very close to that's still in your life that aggravates you. It could be someone that you lost as a friend because of being diagnosed with MS or the troubles you had, or it could be somebody that is just really agitating to you that, every time you talk to them, you're like, oh, they just don't friggin' get it, right? And just find a way in your heart to test drive the experience of forgiving that person in an open-hearted way. Just breathe into your heart. Invite forgiveness in. And breathe out, letting go. So that's that for today. Episode number 28, around forgiving others. I'm Jen DeTracey. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of My Messy House. MS is real and raw. I invite you to subscribe wherever that button is. Make comments. You know what? We are better together. So thank you for being part of this journey. It's a pleasure, and I hope that you'll tune in again. We'll see you soon.